Why these 23 habits are keeping you broke, and how to break free this year. If you've ever looked at your bank account and wondered how your hard work seems to vanish into thin air, this video is for you. Because the truth is, most people aren't broke because they don't make enough. They're broke because of habits quietly draining their wealth every single day. Invisible patterns disguised as normal behavior. The late-night impulse buys. The monthly subscriptions you forgot existed. The mindset that says, I'll start saving when I earn more. That cycle is the trap, and it's time to expose it. What I'm about to show you isn't theory or motivational fluff. These are 23 habits that keep ordinary people stuck in financial survival mode, while others, sometimes earning the same amount, build freedom and security. You'll see how small daily decisions create a silent current, pulling you away from the life you want. And more importantly, how to swim out of it starting today. Because here's the thing, habits are not destiny. They're choices repeated often enough to feel like truth. And when you change your habits, you change your financial future. This video isn't here to shame you. It's here to wake you up, to make you question every financial decision that feels normal. Why? Because normal is broke. Normal is credit card debt. Normal is working for money that never works for you. I want to take you behind the curtain and show you exactly why the way you spend, save, and think about money might be sabotaging your progress, and how to rebuild your habits from the ground up before another year slips away. Imagine ending the year not just with a little more money, but with peace of mind. Imagine looking at your finances and feeling clarity instead of chaos. That's not a fantasy, it's a strategy. But first, we need to unlearn the lies that got you here. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover the financial blind spots holding you back one by one. And by the time you finish this video, you'll see money differently. You'll see yourself differently. You'll finally understand what's been keeping you broke and exactly how to change it. Let's start with the first invisible habit that quietly drains your potential before you even realize it's happening. The illusion of hard work. Why effort alone doesn't build wealth. You've been told your whole life that working hard is the key to success. But if that were true, every exhausted person juggling 2 jobs would be financially free by now. The harsh truth is that effort alone doesn't create wealth. Strategy does. You can't outwork a system built to profit from your lack of awareness. Most people are busy, not productive. They earn, spend, repeat, and confuse motion for progress. That's not a financial plan, that's a treadmill. The first habit keeping you poor is believing that time equals money. Time is valuable, yes, but money grows when it's managed, not just earned. Think about it. How many hours have you traded for a paycheck that's already gone before it even hits your account? That's not laziness, that's a system problem. And it starts with a mindset that glorifies hustle but ignores leverage. People who break free learn to make money while they sleep, through investments, automation, and intentional planning, not endless labor. To escape this habit, stop asking, how can I earn more? And start asking, how can my money earn for me? That's the shift. It's not about giving up your ambition. It's about redirecting it toward building assets instead of feeding expenses. Because no matter how strong your work ethic is, if your habits don't support wealth creation, you'll stay trapped in survival mode. Breaking this pattern is your first step toward true financial independence. Now let's talk about the next invisible trap, one that feels completely harmless but drains your potential from the inside out. The comfort trap. How familiar spending keeps you financially stuck. Most people don't go broke from one big mistake. They stay broke from thousands of small, familiar ones. The comfort trap is the belief that your current spending habits are normal, when in reality, they're quietly robbing your future. The latte that feels like self-care, the takeout because you deserve it after a long day, the weekend shopping that starts with a sale and ends with guilt. They all build a pattern of emotional spending disguised as reward. The danger. Comfort feels safe, but it's the most expensive illusion there is. This habit keeps you broke because it confuses emotional relief with financial progress. Each just this once becomes a reflex, and soon your money story is built on impulse, not intention. The wealthier mindset asks one powerful question before every purchase. Is this feeding my comfort or my freedom? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Real growth demands discomfort, saying no to short-term pleasure so you can say yes to long-term peace. To break this, Replace emotional spending with emotional awareness. Build habits that reward you in ways money can't: clarity, control, purpose. Review your transactions not to feel shame, but to recognize patterns. Because when you start connecting your emotions to your expenses, you stop paying for distractions and start investing in direction. Now that you see how comfort keeps you stuck, let's expose another silent wealth killer, the habit that tricks you into thinking you're managing money while your finances quietly sink. The budget mirage. Thinking you're in control when you're just tracking chaos. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't actually budget, they just document their mistakes. They call it keeping track, but what they're really doing is looking backward, not forward. A budget isn't about knowing where your money went. It's about telling it where to go before it disappears. The illusion of control comes from spreadsheets that record damage instead of prevent it. And that's why so many stay stuck. They confuse awareness with action. This habit keeps you broke because it gives you the feeling of responsibility without the results of discipline. You write down expenses, maybe even color code them, and think that's progress. But if your budget doesn't direct your money toward wealth building, savings, investments, debt payoff, it's just an expensive diary. A real budget is a living plan. It predicts, prioritizes, and protects your goals from impulse. To fix this, stop budgeting for the sake of numbers and start budgeting for purpose. Give every dollar a job before it hits your account. Decide what freedom looks like, then reverse engineer your income to build it. Because until your money has a mission, it will always wander off. You can't reach financial peace by tracking chaos, you reach it by designing order. Now that we've exposed how false control drains your progress, let's talk about the next habit, the one that feels responsible but secretly slows every step toward your financial freedom. The saving trap. Why saving alone will never make you rich. You've been told to save money since you were a kid. Save for a rainy day. Save what's left. But here's the paradox. Most savers never get rich. They just get stuck in cautious survival. Saving is crucial, but saving alone is a trap. Because saving protects your money, but it doesn't grow it. And money that doesn't grow quietly loses value to inflation every year. It's like planting seeds and never watering them, hoping they'll turn into trees. This habit feels responsible, but it's really fear in disguise. Fear of risk, fear of loss, fear of doing it wrong. And that fear costs you more than any bad investment ever could. The wealth mindset treats saving as a foundation, not a finish line. It's what you do before you invest, not instead of it. Your emergency fund should keep you safe, but your investments should make you free. Because safety without growth is just comfort dressed as security. To break this pattern, start small, but start. Automate investments the same way you automate bills. Even 5% of your income directed toward assets is better than 0% sitting in a savings account losing power. The goal isn't just to save money, it's to make it work for you, so you don't spend your entire life working for it. The generosity paradox. When helping others keeps you broke. Generosity is beautiful, but misplaced generosity is dangerous. Many people stay broke because they confuse financial enabling with kindness. You lend money you can't afford to lose. You pick up the check to avoid awkwardness. You bail others out while quietly drowning yourself. It feels noble, but it's self-sabotage disguised as compassion. Real generosity doesn't come from guilt. It comes from stability. You can't pour from an empty wallet any more than from an empty cup. This habit keeps you broke because it ties your self-worth to self-sacrifice. You feel responsible for fixing everyone's problems, except your own. And while you're saving others, no one's saving you. Wealthy people understand that saying no is a form of self-respect. They help strategically, through guidance, education, or opportunities, not unsustainable handouts. The truth is, giving without boundaries isn't kindness. It's avoidance of discomfort. You buy peace in the moment, but pay for it later with stress and regret. Breaking this pattern starts with redefining what generosity really means. True generosity empowers both sides. It doesn't create dependency. Build your foundation first, then give from overflow, not obligation. You serve people better when you're financially strong enough to stay standing. Because when you stop confusing saving others with sabotaging yourself, you finally create the space to build lasting impact, not just temporary relief. The overconfidence loop. Thinking you know enough to ignore the numbers. Confidence with money can set you free, but unchecked confidence can quietly destroy your financial future. The moment you start believing you already know how money works, you stop learning, stop checking, and stop questioning your habits. That's when blind spots grow. You skip reviewing statements, ignore small fees, assume your budget is fine, and tell yourself, "I've got this." But wealth isn't built on assumptions, it's built on awareness. This habit keeps you broke because it replaces curiosity with complacency. And in personal finance, complacency is expensive. Markets change, taxes change, your spending patterns change, but when your mindset doesn't evolve with them, your money stagnates. True financial intelligence isn't about knowing everything. It's about never stopping the process of learning. Every wealthy person you admire has one thing in common. They stay humble enough to keep asking questions. To break this, make financial learning a lifestyle, not an emergency fix. Schedule money check-ins the same way you'd schedule a workout. Audit your expenses, reassess your goals, challenge your comfort, because the second you stop measuring, you start losing. The goal isn't to feel smart, it's to stay sharp. Confidence should drive you to action, not away from accountability. Now that we've shattered the illusion of control through confidence, let's expose the next habit, one that feels productive but quietly traps you in endless waiting while your future slips further away. The "I'll start later" lie. How procrastination kills your financial freedom. You tell yourself you'll start next month, when you earn more, when things calm down, when life feels less chaotic. But that perfect moment never comes. Waiting feels safe because it tricks you into believing you're still in control. Yet every day you delay is a day your future loses power. Compounding doesn't wait for convenience, and neither does opportunity. The truth is, financial success doesn't reward the smartest. It rewards the ones who start. This habit keeps you broke because procrastination disguises itself as preparation. You convince yourself you're researching, planning, or not ready yet. But planning without action is paralysis. Time doesn't pause while you think. It moves, and your money moves with it, usually away from you. The people who build wealth aren't fearless. They just act before they feel ready. They know small, imperfect action beats perfect timing every time. To break this habit, shrink the goal until it feels doable right now. Don't wait to have $1,000 to save. Start with $10. Don't wait to master investing. Automate a small amount into an index fund today. The power isn't in the amount, it's in the momentum. Once you start, you shift from dreaming to doing, and that's where transformation begins. Because wealth doesn't happen later, it happens now, one choice at a time. The lifestyle creep. How every raise turns into another bill. You finally earn more, a promotion, a new client, a bigger paycheck, and before you know it, the money's gone. The new income barely hits your account before your lifestyle expands to match it. A slightly better car, a nicer apartment, more dinners out, new gadgets to reward yourself. You tell yourself you deserve it, and maybe you do. But the truth is, every raise without restraint becomes another trap. You didn't get richer, you just upgraded your expenses. This habit keeps you broke because it confuses progress with proof. You think you're doing better because your lifestyle looks better. But wealth isn't built on appearances. It's built on margin, the gap between what you earn and what you keep. If that gap never grows, neither does your freedom. Lifestyle creep feeds on emotion, on that quiet need to show the world you've made it. But true success isn't something you buy. It's something you sustain. To escape this trap, anchor every income increase to a purpose before you feel the urge to spend it. Decide that every raise splits between freedom and fun, part for investing, part for enjoying. Build joy into your plan instead of letting it hijack it. Because when your expenses rise with your income, you're just working to feed a fancier version of broke. But when your savings rise instead, that's when real wealth starts compounding. The debt normalization. How good debt becomes a lifelong trap debt used to mean you were borrowing to survive. Today, it's marketed as empowerment, leverage, smart financing, building credit. But when every purchase becomes a payment plan, you're not leveraging, you're surrendering. The system rewards you for carrying debt because it profits from your patience. The longer you owe, the richer they get. You call it manageable. They call it predictable revenue. This habit keeps you broke because it normalizes dependency. You stop questioning interest rates. You accept debt as a necessary part of adult life. You swipe for convenience, not emergencies. Soon your paycheck becomes a conveyor belt of payments, car, phone, credit card, everything auto-debited before you even touch your money. That's not financial maturity. That's silent servitude. And the worst part? You think it's normal because everyone around you lives the same way. Breaking this cycle starts with rejecting the myth of good debt. There's debt that builds value, an investment in your growth, and debt that buys distractions. One expands your future, the other mortgages it. The real flex isn't affording the payment, it's owning your freedom. Every dollar you owe is a piece of your energy outsourced to someone else. The goal isn't to escape debt overnight. It's to escape the mindset that debt is just how life works. Now that we've dismantled the illusion of healthy debt, let's expose the next silent barrier. The habit that keeps you poor, not because of what you do with money, but what you believe about it. The scarcity script. How your beliefs about money keep you trapped. Before you ever earned a dollar, you inherited a story about money. Maybe it was, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, or I'm just not good with numbers. Those phrases sound harmless, but they plant a script that runs your financial life. You start to believe money is limited, that you have to work harder just to have enough, and that abundance is for other people. And that script, not your income, not your job, becomes your ceiling. This habit keeps you broke because scarcity doesn't live in your wallet, it lives in your mindset. When you believe there's never enough, you behave accordingly. You cling to every dollar out of fear. You underprice your skills. You hesitate to invest. You keep playing defense instead of building offense. Meanwhile, people with an abundance mindset, even earning the same, make bold, intentional moves that multiply their wealth. They don't see money as a prize to chase, but as a tool to build freedom. To rewrite this script, start by challenging your automatic thoughts about money. When you catch yourself saying, I can't afford it, reframe it. How can I afford it? One keeps you stuck, the other opens possibility. Surround yourself with voices that talk about wealth with responsibility, not guilt, because your financial habits will always follow your financial identity. When you start believing you deserve more, you'll start acting like it. The time drain. Trading your most valuable asset for pennies. Money lost can be earned back. Time can't. Yet most people treat their time like it's worthless, giving hours away to low-value work, pointless scrolling, or distractions disguised as productivity. You tell yourself you're too busy to invest, plan, or learn, but that busyness is exactly what keeps you broke. Because if you're always reacting, you never build. You're stuck working in your life instead of on your life. This habit keeps you broke because it teaches you to measure your worth by effort instead of impact. You fill every gap in your schedule, but never create space for thinking, strategizing, or growing. You chase every opportunity that pays now instead of building the systems that pay later. The truth is, every wealthy person guards their time like it's gold, because it is. They delegate what doesn't multiply results. They automate what doesn't need emotion. They buy back their time to buy forward their freedom. To break this cycle, start treating your hours like currency. Audit your week. Where do your hours go that bring no return? Replace one low-value activity each day with a task that builds future income or knowledge. Don't say, I don't have time. Say, I haven't prioritized time for wealth. Because until your time aligns with your financial goals, your effort will keep feeding someone else's dream instead of funding your own. The fear of risk. How playing it safe keeps you stuck. You've been told to be careful with money, and that advice sounds smart until it becomes a cage. Fear of risk keeps millions stuck in safe choices that guarantee slow decline. You save but never invest. You plan but never execute. You watch opportunities pass by while convincing yourself you're just being responsible. But the truth is, safety has a cost, and that cost is freedom. This habit keeps you broke because it confuses caution with control. Playing it safe feels empowering, but it's actually passive. You avoid loss, but you also avoid gain. You wait for certainty in a world that doesn't offer any. Meanwhile, those willing to take calculated risks, to invest, start, learn, move forward while fear keeps you watching from the sidelines. Playing small doesn't protect you. It just guarantees that nothing changes. To break this, redefine what risk means. Risk isn't jumping blind. It's stepping forward with awareness. It's understanding your downside, preparing smartly and acting anyway. Every wealthy person you know once faced a decision that terrified them. The difference? They didn't wait for the fear to disappear. They built courage by acting through it. Money rewards movement, not hesitation. The longer you wait, the smaller your window becomes, so stop asking, what if it fails, and start asking, what if it works? Because fear won't disappear when you succeed. It disappears when you start proving yourself right. Now that we've faced how fear disguises itself as logic, let's expose the next habit, one that feels like ambition, but secretly leads to endless exhaustion and emptiness. The achievement addiction. Why chasing more keeps you empty. You hit a goal and instead of celebrating, you move the bar higher. You buy something nice, but the satisfaction fades before the receipt cools. You work harder, earn more, yet somehow feel the same, restless, behind, never enough. That's the trap of achievement addiction. You confuse accomplishment with fulfillment, and your wallet becomes a scoreboard in a game you can't win. This habit keeps you broke in more ways than one. It drives you to spend for validation instead of vision. You chase milestones that look impressive but drain your peace. You upgrade, compare, compete, always measuring your worth against someone else's highlight reel. The result? You live exhausted, always busy building a life that looks good but doesn't feel good. True wealth doesn't come from having more. It comes from needing less. To break this, redefine success from the inside out. Ask yourself, if no one could see what I own, would I still want it? That question slices through ego and exposes intent. Replace external validation with internal clarity. Measure progress by how aligned you feel, not how admired you seem. When your goals shift from proving to improving, your money starts working for you, not against your peace. The comparison curse. How competing with others destroys your wealth. Comparison is the quiet thief of financial peace. You scroll through someone's highlight reel, the car, the house, the vacations, and without even realizing it, your goals shift. You start buying things you never wanted, chasing standards you never set, trying to match a life that isn't even real. It's financial mimicry, and it's lethal, because when your money starts serving your ego instead of your goals, you lose both. This habit keeps you broke because it replaces clarity with competition. You stop measuring progress by your values and start measuring it by someone else's performance. Every purchase becomes a performance. Every decision a silent audition for validation. The result? You spend to keep up instead of to move up. The comparison trap doesn't just drain your wallet, it drains your identity. To escape it, define your own version of enough. Ask yourself, if nobody ever saw what I own, would I still buy it? That one question filters status from substance. Reconnect your money to meaning. Redirect the energy you waste comparing into building your skills, your assets, your purpose. Because the real flex isn't proving you have money. It's knowing you no longer need to prove anything at all. Now that we've stripped away the illusion of competition, let's uncover the next wealth-killing pattern, the one that looks like progress, but quietly locks you into lifelong financial pressure. The endless upgrade. How leveling up keeps you perpetually behind. You convince yourself every upgrade is logical. The new phone saves time. The better car is more reliable. The luxury version lasts longer. But beneath those justifications lies one dangerous habit, the constant need to upgrade before you've mastered what you already have. It feels like progress, but it's actually disguised depletion. You're not building wealth. You're feeding a lifestyle that keeps moving the goalposts faster than your bank account can follow. This habit keeps you broke because it replaces satisfaction with stimulation. You train your brain to associate success with spending. Every improvement becomes an excuse to spend more, not to grow more. And soon your financial bandwidth is stretched thin, always reaching, never arriving. Wealthy people play a different game. They upgrade only when their assets pay for it, not their emotions. They let their money compound before they let their lifestyle expand. To break this cycle, shift from what's next to what's necessary. Don't upgrade your life until your systems, savings, investments, income streams can sustain it without stress. Use your upgrades as rewards for progress, not proof of it. Because every premature treat yourself pushes freedom one step further away. The real glow-up isn't in what you own, it's in what you can afford to walk away from. Now that we've unmasked how improvement can quietly drain your growth, let's dive into the next habit, the one that steals your peace, your sleep, and your decision-making power without you even noticing. The decision fatigue. How too many choices quietly bankrupt your discipline. Every day you make hundreds of small money decisions: what to buy, what to skip, what to click, what to eat. It feels harmless until your brain hits overload. Decision fatigue creeps in, and suddenly the path of least resistance wins. You grab takeout instead of cooking. You impulse buy because it's easier than comparing prices. You skip your budget check because you're tired. Tiny moments, massive consequences, because every drained decision adds up to one reality: emotional spending and financial chaos. This habit keeps you broke because willpower is a limited resource. You spend it all on minor choices instead of major goals. Wealthy people know this. They eliminate friction. They automate savings, schedule investing, and simplify routines so discipline happens by design, not by force. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer unnecessary decisions. To break this cycle, systemize your finances like an athlete training for consistency. Automate bill payments, pre-plan meals, unsubscribe from tempting sales emails. The less you rely on daily willpower, the stronger your long-term results. Every system you build is a promise you keep with your future self. Because money success isn't about one huge decision, it's about protecting your energy so you can keep making the right ones. The information overload. How staying informed keeps you confused and frozen. You scroll financial news, watch market updates, listen to experts contradict each other, and end up more anxious than educated. You think you're learning, but what's really happening is paralysis by analysis. Every new headline becomes a reason to wait. Now's not the time to invest. Markets are too risky, inflation is coming. You're always waiting for clarity, but clarity never comes. Because the information you're consuming isn't designed to empower you. It's designed to keep you watching. This habit keeps you broke because confusion kills action. The more opinions you absorb, the less confidence you have in your own judgment. You become addicted to input instead of committed to implementation. Wealthy people filter information through strategy, not emotion. They learn enough to decide, then act. They don't chase every trend. They master timeless principles and execute them relentlessly. To escape this trap, curate your sources like you curate your spending. Follow fewer experts, but go deeper with those who teach action, not alarm. Replace endless scrolling with scheduled learning. 20 focused minutes a day is worth more than 5 hours of noise. Information should serve your goals, not sabotage them. Remember, success doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from doing something with what you already know. Now that you understand how too much knowledge can actually block progress, let's uncover the next trap, the one that hides under rewarding yourself, but quietly resets every ounce of progress you make. The reward reflex. How treating yourself reverses every step forward. You hit a small goal, paid off a card, got a bonus, saved a little extra, and instantly your brain screams, "I deserve this." A dinner out, new shoes, maybe that gadget you've been eyeing. It feels like balance, but it's actually sabotage disguised as self-care. Because every time you reward progress with spending, you reset the scoreboard. The emotional high of treating yourself becomes your biggest financial hangover. This habit keeps you broke because it links achievement with consumption. You train your brain to celebrate growth by shrinking it. It's not about guilt, it's about wiring. When your rewards always cost you progress, you build a loop of temporary pride and long-term stagnation. The rich reward themselves too, but they do it differently. They reinvest their wins into freedom. They buy assets that keep giving instead of items that keep taking. To break this cycle, replace indulgent rewards with reinforcing ones. If you save $500, invest $50 of it. If you pay off debt, reward yourself with something that improves your mindset. A course, a day of rest, a plan for your next move. You don't need to stop celebrating, you just need to celebrate smarter. Because every treat that pushes you closer to freedom becomes twice as satisfying. Once now and again, when your future self thanks you. The almost habit. How constant trying keeps you stuck in neutral. You read the books, save the quotes, watch the videos, and tell yourself you're working on it. You mean well, you're learning, reflecting, planning. But here's the catch. Intention without execution is financial self-sabotage in disguise. You're not lazy. You're almost investing. almost budgeting, almost consistent, and almost is where dreams go to die quietly while you convince yourself you're making progress. This habit keeps you broke because it trades real momentum for the illusion of improvement. The brain rewards planning the same way it rewards action, so you get the dopamine hit without the results. You feel productive while standing still. Wealthy people separate motion from movement. They know progress isn't about effort, it's about follow-through. Reading about money won't make you rich, doing what you read will. To break this loop, shrink your steps until doing feels easier than delaying. Don't plan to start investing soon, invest $10 now. Don't promise to track expenses next month. Review today's spending. Almost disappears when you create proof. Because success doesn't come from one big breakthrough, it comes from 1,000 completed actions. The only thing standing between you and freedom isn't knowledge, it's consistency. The excuse economy. How rationalization becomes the most expensive habit. You have excuses are comfortable and deadly. I don't have enough to save. It's not the right time to invest. I'm just bad with numbers. Every sentence sounds logical, but together they form an invisible cage that keeps you broke. Because the moment you explain your situation instead of improving it, you've already lost power. The truth is, excuses are just clever lies your comfort zone tells to protect itself. This habit keeps you broke because it replaces accountability with justification. You think you're being realistic, but you're really choosing resignation. Excuses sound harmless, but they compound like debt. The longer you hold on to them, the harder it becomes to escape. The people who build wealth face the same problems you do: low income, fear, uncertainty, but they refuse to negotiate with their limits. They look at reality and still choose progress. To break this, start catching your language in real time. Replace "I can't" with "I haven't yet." Replace "I don't have time" with "I haven't made time." Each shift puts you back in control, because wealth begins when you stop explaining and start executing. Every excuse is an unpaid bill from your future self. Stop financing your limits and start funding your potential. The humility trap. How playing small keeps you invisible and underpaid. You've been taught that humility means staying quiet about your value. Don't ask for too much. Don't talk about money. Be grateful for what you have. Sounds noble, right? But that conditioning keeps countless people broke. Because when you downplay your worth, the world takes you at your word. Playing small doesn't protect you. It just makes it easier for others to overlook or underpay you. This habit keeps you broke because it confuses humility with self-erasure. True humility isn't pretending you have less value. It's knowing your value so deeply that you don't need to prove it, but you still demand to be paid for it. The wealthy don't whisper about their worth. They negotiate it. They understand that asking for more isn't greed. It's growth. And when you stop charging what you're worth, you're not being humble. You're subsidizing someone else's comfort with your silence. To break this pattern, start treating your work like an asset, not a favor. Document your wins. Speak numbers, not feelings, when negotiating. Practice saying your rates without flinching. The goal isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You can be grateful and still ambitious. You can serve and still earn. Because staying small doesn't make you pure, it just makes you poor. The energy leak. How saying yes to everything keeps you too drained to build wealth. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your goals, you're saying no to your financial freedom. It sounds dramatic, but it's real. You take on extra work you don't need, agree to social plans you can't afford, and volunteer your time and energy for things that drain you. You think you're being helpful, flexible, or kind, but what you're really being is exhausted, and exhaustion is expensive. This habit keeps you broke because financial growth requires energy, mental, emotional, and creative. When you spread yourself thin, you leave no bandwidth for vision. You can't think strategically when you're constantly reacting. You can't spot opportunities when your attention is fragmented. Wealthy people understand this. They guard their energy like money. They say no to almost everything that doesn't align with their goals because they know focus compounds faster than interest. To break this habit, redefine what it means to be available. Every yes should earn its place, in time, energy, or financial return. Start practicing strategic selfishness, prioritizing your peace so you can show up where it actually matters. Protect your mornings, your focus hours, your thinking time. Because the more intentional you are with your energy, the more powerful every financial move becomes. Energy management is money management. Lose one, and you lose both. The future fog. How avoiding vision guarantees you'll stay broke. Most people don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because they lack direction. You ask them what financial freedom looks like, and they say, "I just want to be comfortable." That's not a goal. That's a fog. You can't hit a target you haven't defined. Without a clear picture of what you're building toward, how much you need, why it matters, what it feels like, your actions lose purpose. You work, you earn, you spend, and call it progress. But deep down, you're moving in circles. This habit keeps you broke because money follows clarity. Every dollar needs a destination before it disappears. Without vision, your effort becomes reactionary, chasing bills instead of building wealth. Wealthy people know exactly what they're working toward. They write it down, review it often, and reverse engineer it into steps. Vision gives direction, and direction turns discipline into destiny. To break this fog, define your freedom in vivid detail. How much would it take to fund the life you want? What does your day look like when money is no longer a source of stress? Once you see it clearly, every decision becomes easier. You stop buying distractions and start buying time. You stop living reactively and start creating intentionally. Because the moment you decide where you're going, the money finally starts to follow. Now that we've exposed the 23 habits keeping people financially trapped, it's time to close this chapter with a message that ties it all together. One that transforms awareness into action. Break the cycle, build the freedom. You don't stay broke because you're careless or unlucky. You stay broke because your habits quietly shape your reality. Every belief, every swipe, every "I'll do it later" builds a pattern that either protects your peace or drains it. These 23 habits aren't just about money, they're about mindset. Because money doesn't change who you are. It amplifies the habits you already have. The moment you see these patterns for what they are, invisible anchors, you get to choose whether you keep dragging them or finally cut the rope. Awareness is power, but only if it leads to movement. So don't just nod along, pick one habit today, just one, and flip it. Automate a payment. Say no to an unnecessary treat. Open that investment account. Cancel the subscription that doesn't serve you. Build proof that you're capable of changing your trajectory. Because you are. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need more income before you can start. You need more intention with what you already have. Every tiny change compounds into confidence. Every decision that favors your future builds momentum. Freedom doesn't arrive suddenly. It sneaks up on you through small, disciplined choices made daily. The year doesn't decide your wealth. Your habits do. And now that you know what's been holding you back, you have the clarity to move forward. So take this as your turning point. Not just another financial video, but a moment to rewrite your money story for good. Because the truth is simple. You're not stuck. You're just one habit away from your breakthrough.